my wife said. My parents think you're a burden. And honestly, I agree. I said, good to know. I didn't react. But at Sunday dinner, when her father suddenly stood up, looked at her, and asked a question that turned the whole table silent, her smile vanished instantly. I'm Derek, 35, and until 2 weeks ago, I thought my marriage was going through a rough patch that we could work through. Turns out, my wife had been building a case against me with her parents for months, and when I accidentally found out, I decided to let them all dig their own graves before revealing what I knew. I'd been married to Christine for 6 years. We met in our late 20s, got married after 2 years of dating, settled into what I thought was a good life together. She worked in pharmaceutical sales, made decent money, traveled occasionally for work. I'm a teacher, high school history, which means I don't make pharmaceutical sales money, but I'm not exactly broke either. We lived comfortably, had a nice house in the suburbs, no kids yet, but we'd been talking about it. Christine's parents, Richard and Patricia, were successful people. Richard owned a commercial real estate company. Patricia was a retired lawyer. They had money, status, and opinions about everything. From the beginning of our relationship, I could tell they thought Christine could have done better than a high school teacher. They never said it outright, but it was there in the way Richard would ask about my career trajectory, or how Patricia would mention other men Christine had dated who were doing interesting things now. About 4 months ago, things started shifting with Christine. She became more critical about my job, about our finances, about my lack of ambition. She'd make comments like, "Don't you want more than this?" Or, "We could have a better life if you'd consider other options." I tried to talk to her about it, asked what was really bothering her, but she'd just say she was stressed about work. 2 weeks ago, on a Wednesday night, Christine and I had a fight about something stupid. I'd forgotten to pick up dry cleaning. She escalated it into this bigger argument about how I was unreliable and not taking our life seriously. It ended with her saying, "My parents think you're a burden on me. And honestly, Derek, I'm starting to agree with them." I just looked at her. Good to know. That's it? That's all you have to say? What do you want me to say, Christine? You just told me you think I'm a burden. There's not really a response to that. Maybe you could defend yourself. Maybe you could try to prove them wrong. Why would I need to prove anything? I work. I contribute to this household. I'm a good husband. If you and your parents don't see that, that's not my problem to fix. She looked frustrated that I wasn't fighting back. You're so passive. That's the whole problem. I went to bed in the guest room that night. The next morning, Christine acted like nothing had happened. I didn't bring it up either, but something had shifted in me. When someone tells you they see you as a burden, you can't unhear it. That Friday, I was home early. Teacher development day, students weren't in. I was in my home office when I heard Christine come in. She didn't know I was there. I heard her on the phone in the kitchen talking to her mother. I know, Mom. I'm just so tired of it. No, he didn't even react when I told him what you and Dad said. He just accepted it. I think he knows he's not good enough, but he's too comfortable to do anything about it. Sunday dinner? Yeah, we'll be there. I think it's time we all had a frank conversation about the future. I sat there listening, feeling cold. She'd been talking to her parents about me, building a narrative, planning something for Sunday dinner. I didn't confront her. Instead, I did something I'd never done before. I called her father. Richard answered on the second ring. Derek, this is unexpected. Hi, Richard. I wanted to talk to you about something. Do you have a few minutes? Sure. What's on your mind? Christine mentioned that you and Patricia have concerns about me, about whether I'm the right fit for your daughter. I wanted to hear that directly from you rather than through her. There was a pause. Derek, that's a conversation I think we should have in person. Why don't we talk about this at dinner on Sunday? That works. But Richard, I need to know, do you think I'm a burden on Christine? Another pause, longer this time. I think you're a good man, Derek, But I also think Christine deserves a partner who matches her ambition and financial capability. You're a teacher. That's admirable, but it's not exactly a path to the kind of life Christine was raised to expect. I see. And you've been discussing this with Christine? We discuss everything with our daughter. We're a close family. Got it. Well, I'll see you Sunday then. After I hung up, I sat there for a while thinking. Then I made another call to my friend Marcus, who worked as a private investigator. I asked him to look into Christine's recent activities, travel, credit card statements, anything unusual. He said he'd see what he could find. That weekend, Christine was busy with work stuff. She barely talked to me. Saturday night, Marcus sent me a file. I opened it and felt my stomach drop. Hotel charges in cities where Christine had work trips. Always 2-night stays, always nicer hotels than her company usually booked. Credit card charges at restaurants for two, and a name that kept appearing, Andrew Morrison, one of her company's regional sales directors. I spent Saturday night going through everything. Sunday morning, I was calm, eerily calm. Christine asked if I was okay. I said I was fine. We got ready for dinner at her parents' house. Update 1. We arrived at Richard and Patricia's house at 5 p.m. Christine's brother David was there with his wife, plus Patricia's sister. The whole family gathering. Christine seemed nervous but excited about something. Dinner started normally. Small talk, catching up. Patricia asking about Christine's latest sales numbers. Richard mostly quiet, watching me with this evaluating look. I played along, answered questions politely, didn't give anything away. About halfway through the main course, Christine cleared her throat. So, Mom, Dad, I wanted to talk to everyone about something important. Patricia smiled. Of course, honey. What is it? Christine glanced at me, then at her parents. Derek and I have been having some conversations about our future, about what we both want and whether we're on the same page, and honestly, I think we've grown in different directions. I took a sip of water, didn't say anything. Richard put down his fork. Christine, maybe this isn't the right time. No, Dad, it's fine. We're all family here. I think everyone knows that Derek and I have been struggling. He's content with where he is in life, and I want more. I need a partner who's ambitious, who wants to build real wealth, who can give me the life I deserve. David's wife looked uncomfortable. Patricia was nodding along. I stayed quiet. So, Christine continued, I think it's time Derek and I seriously consider whether this marriage is working for either of us. The table went quiet. Everyone looked at me. I set down my fork. Are you asking for a divorce, Christine? She hesitated. I'm saying I think we need to discuss it, as a family. My parents have been concerned for a while, and I value their input. Interesting. So your parents have been involved in our marriage decisions for how long? That's not fair. Seems fair to me. You just announced to your entire family that you want to divorce me because I'm not ambitious enough. In front of me, without discussing it with me first privately. Patricia spoke up. Derek, honey, this isn't about attacking you. We all care about you, but we also want what's best for Christine, and sometimes relationships run their course. Patricia, I don't need relationship advice from you right now, thanks. Richard stood up. The whole table went silent. He looked at Christine, and his face was different than I'd ever seen it. Not supportive, almost angry. Christine, I need to ask you something, and I need you to answer honestly. Christine looked confused. Dad, what? Who is Andrew Morrison? The color drained from Christine's face. What? Who? Andrew Morrison, regional sales director at your company. You've been spending quite a bit of time with him. Hotel rooms in Chicago, Boston, Denver, nice restaurants. Want to explain that to everyone? Patricia's head snapped toward Richard. What are you talking about? Christine's mouth opened and closed. Dad, I don't know what you're... Don't lie to me. Derek called me Friday. Asked me directly if I thought he was a burden on you. When I hung up, I started thinking about some things that hadn't quite added up. Your work trips lasting longer than they should. Your company credit card bills that I occasionally see, since we still handle some of your financial planning. So I made some calls, found out some interesting things. I watched this play out, stunned. Richard had done his own investigation. Andrew Morrison is married, Richard continued, has 2 kids, and according to someone in your HR department who I happen to know, there have been complaints about him having inappropriate relationships with women on his team. Is that what you've been doing, Christine? Having an affair with a married man while telling us your husband isn't good enough? The table erupted. Patricia demanding to know what was happening, David looking shocked, Christine trying to talk over everyone, tears starting. Dad, it's not like that. Then what is it like? Because from where I'm sitting, you've been cheating on your husband while complaining to us that he's the problem, making us think he's holding you back when actually you've been sneaking around behind his back. Christine looked at me, desperate. Derek, please. Richard kept going. I told you Friday that I thought Derek was a good man, but that maybe he wasn't ambitious enough for you. You know what I've been thinking about since then? That maybe the problem isn't his lack of ambition. Maybe the problem is your lack of character. Richard! Patricia looked horrified. No, Patricia. Our daughter just tried to publicly humiliate her husband at our dinner table. Tried to get family support for divorcing him because he's not ambitious enough, when the real reason is she's been having an affair. I won't be part of that. Christine was full-on crying now. It just happened. I didn't mean for it to... Nothing just happens, Christine. You made choices. You chose to have an affair. You chose to lie to your husband, to us, to yourself, and you were going to let Derek take the blame for your failing marriage. I finally spoke. I knew about Andrew. I found out Saturday. Everyone looked at me. I had someone investigate when I heard Christine on the phone telling Patricia that we needed to have a frank conversation at Sunday dinner. I figured something was coming. I didn't know Richard was going to drop it like this, but yeah, I knew. Christine stared at me. You knew? And you came here anyway? I wanted to hear what you were going to say. What you were going to accuse me of. Apparently the plan was to make me look like the inadequate husband so you could justify leaving for someone better. That's exactly what it was. You've been building a case against me for months. Telling your parents I'm a burden. Making me look small so you could feel justified in what you were doing. David stood up. I think maybe we should all take a break. No, I said. I want to finish this. Christine, I've spent 6 years trying to be a good husband to you. I supported your career. I listened to your parents' constant implications that I wasn't good enough. I stayed patient when you started being critical and distant. And the whole time, you were cheating and planning an exit strategy that made me the villain. Derek, I'm sorry. I don't want your apology. I want you to understand that you don't get to rewrite this story. You don't get to make yourself the victim who was held back by her unambitious husband. You had an affair. You lied. You tried to manipulate your family against me. That's the truth. I stood up. Richard, Patricia, I appreciate your hospitality over the years. I'm sorry it's ending this way. David, good to see you. Christine, I'll be filing for divorce this week. You can stay at the house until we figure out living arrangements, but I want you in the guest room. I walked out, got in my car and drove home in silence, hands shaking on the wheel. Update 2. Christine came home 3 hours later. I was in the bedroom packing some of my things to move to the guest room. She stood in the doorway. Derek, we need to talk. There's nothing to talk about. Please, just listen to me. The thing with Andrew, it was a mistake. It didn't mean anything. I was confused and he paid attention to me and I made a terrible choice. How long? What? How long has it been going on? She looked at the floor. 4 months. 4 months. The same time she'd started being critical of me. So you've been cheating on me for 4 months and spending that whole time telling me and your parents that I'm the problem. I felt guilty. I think I was trying to justify what I was doing by making you seem inadequate. That's not an excuse, Christine. That's just you being cruel. I know I was wrong. But can we try to work through this? Go to counseling? I'll end things with Andrew. I'll do whatever it takes. No. Derek, please. You destroyed this marriage. You don't get to fix it now that you've been caught. You had 4 months to come clean, to stop, to work on us. You chose to keep lying and plan a public divorce announcement that would make me look like the failure. I panicked tonight. I wasn't really going to... Yes, you were. You told your mother you wanted to have a frank conversation about our future. You were setting the stage. The only thing that went wrong was your dad finding out about Andrew and exposing you before you could control the narrative. She slumped against the doorframe. What happens now? I file for divorce. We split assets. You can stay here until the house sells or one of us buys the other out, but we're done, Christine. Completely done. Your parents know what you did. That's your problem to deal with, not mine. She left the room crying. I heard her on the phone a few minutes later, probably calling her mother. I didn't care. The next morning, I called a divorce attorney, started the paperwork. Christine moved into the guest room like I'd asked. We lived like awkward roommates for the next 2 weeks while lawyers handled the initial filings. Richard called me about a week after the disastrous dinner. Derek, I owe you an apology. You don't owe me anything, Richard. You exposed what needed to be exposed. I should have trusted my instincts about you from the beginning. You're a good man. I let Patricia's opinions about your career cloud my judgment. And I let Christine's complaints make me think you were the problem. Why did you investigate her? Something you said on Friday stuck with me. You asked if I thought you were a burden. The way you asked it, like you were genuinely confused about why anyone would think that. It made me realize I didn't have any actual evidence that you were inadequate. Just Christine's word. So I started looking into things. Found the hotel charges pretty quickly. I appreciate you telling the truth at dinner. Saved me from having to be the one to drop that bomb. Christine's mother is devastated. Keeps asking how we didn't see this coming. I told her we saw what Christine wanted us to see. How's Christine doing? Not great. She got fired. The thing with Andrew came to light at her company. Apparently he'd done this before with other women on his team. HR finally had enough evidence to terminate both of them. I felt a grim satisfaction at that. She mentioned the divorce to you? She's been calling her mother crying about it every day, asking us to intervene, to convince you to give her another chance. I told her she made her choices, and now she has to live with the consequences. Thank you for that. Derek, for what it's worth, I hope you find someone who appreciates what you bring to a relationship. Teaching is honorable work. You're a good man. My daughter was a fool to risk losing you. Update 3. The divorce took 3 months to finalize. No kids, relatively clean assets split, both of us wanting it done quickly. Christine tried a few more times to reconcile. Wrote me letters, showed up at school once, sent her friend to talk to me. I stayed firm. The house sold 2 months after we filed. Christine moved in with her parents temporarily while she looked for a job. I got an apartment closer to my school. Patricia reached out once, about 6 weeks after the dinner incident. Asked if we could meet for coffee. I agreed, more out of curiosity than anything. She looked older than I remembered. Derek, I need to apologize to you. Okay. I spent years making you feel inadequate, implying you weren't good enough for Christine, pushing her to want more, to expect more. I created the environment where she thought it was acceptable to look down on you. Did you know about Andrew? No, absolutely not. If I had known she was cheating, I would have told her to fix her marriage or file for divorce honestly. But I didn't know because I'd been too busy reinforcing her complaints about you without questioning if they were valid. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserved better from us. From all of us. You were a loyal husband to my daughter. You worked hard, you were kind, you treated her well, and we made you feel like that wasn't enough because you weren't wealthy or impressive enough by our standards. Patricia, I appreciate the apology, but I think you and Richard need to figure out why your daughter thought her worth was tied to her husband's income and status. That's not something I can fix. She nodded, tearing up. I know. We're in family therapy now, trying to understand where we went wrong. Good luck with that. She left. I haven't heard from her since. Final update. It's been 8 months since that Sunday dinner. The divorce is final, I've settled into my apartment, and I'm doing okay. Better than okay, actually. Christine reached out one more time about 2 months ago. She'd found a new job, was trying to rebuild her life, and wanted closure. We met for coffee. She looked different, smaller somehow, less sure of herself. I've been in therapy, she said, trying to understand why I did what I did, why I sabotaged us. And what did you figure out? That I was never comfortable with who I was. I always needed external validation, my parents' approval, career success, the right partner. I thought those things would make me feel worthy. When I met Andrew and he made me feel important and successful, I chased that feeling instead of working on my marriage. That's a pretty neat summary. I'm sorry, Derek. Truly sorry. You deserve so much better than how I treated you. Yeah, I did. Do you hate me? I thought about it. No, I don't hate you. I feel sad about what we could have been if you'd been honest with yourself and with me. But I don't hate you. Are you seeing anyone? That's not really your business anymore. She nodded. Right, I hope you're happy. I am. I'm teaching, I'm coaching the debate team now. I bought a used motorcycle and I've been taking weekend trips. I'm figuring out who I am outside of being someone's not good enough husband. She flinched at that. I really am sorry. I know you are. But sorry doesn't fix what happened. It just means you understand it now. We finished our coffees and said goodbye. I haven't heard from her since. Richard sends me a text every few months checking in. David invited me to a barbecue last month, which was weird but nice. I went. His wife told me she'd always liked me and was glad I'd gotten out. I learned a lot from this whole mess. I learned that when someone constantly makes you feel inadequate, it says more about them than about you. I learned that family loyalty can be toxic when it means enabling bad behavior. And I learned that sometimes the kindest thing someone can do is tell the truth when it needs to be told, even if it destroys the illusion everyone's been living in. Christine made choices. She chose to have an affair, to lie, to try to make me the villain in her story. Her father chose to investigate and tell the truth. I chose to walk away with my dignity intact. I'm 35, divorced, and honestly more content than I've been in years. I don't have to prove my worth to anyone anymore. I know what I bring to the table, and someday, when I'm ready, I'll find someone who appreciates that without needing me to be someone I'm not. For now, I'm just Derek. High school history teacher, debate coach, motorcycle enthusiast, recently divorced guy who dodged a lifetime of being made to feel small. And that's enough.